told there's some real money in the room.
It says, do you recognize that? It says, yes. What is that? A plea bargain. Okay. Is that an agreement you entered into at the time you entered your plea on your case was taken care of? Yes, ma'am. Is that a certified copy of that agreement? Yes, ma'am. And does your signature appear on this agreement? Yes, ma'am. And whose else's signatures appear there? My mom's and my lawyer's. And your lawyers? Yes. And also some attorneys for the state? Yes, ma'am. Miss Jones, Your Honor, we offer state's exhibit I am tendering to defense's counsel. Mr. Mackey, may I take your witness briefly on voir dire? Do you know what voir dire is?
Voir dire is mean you're getting ready. That's when you holding to pick a jury, and they'll read the voir dire, the rules of what can be admitted when you get ready to start trial, and it's like a jury pool where you're picking a jury, and then they basically reading the instructions, and all this is coming. This is the trial transcripts. You have pre-trial, then you'll have post-trial issues, to where everything you see here, you could look for it before he started trial and say, oh, they erred and didn't do this. But right now, the paperwork that you're reading is Charleston White, where they're fit to start, and he's fit to testify in a trial of a man where his testimony going to end up making it from 1993 to where he's still in there in 20 going on 23.
Okay. Well, Mr. Mackey, this is Charleston White's lawyer. Am I right about it? It says, Mr. White, looking at State's Exhibit 39, this is a statement and agreement you made between you and the states. Yes, sir. In exchange for testimony. Yes, sir. And that signature there, is that correct? Yes. You made that agreement on October 22nd of 1991. Yes, sir. This nigga been telling since before I was alive. Yes, sir. Mr. Mackey, no objections. The court, it's admitted. Okay, let's go back down. Cause number 48790-J in the matter of Charleston Damon White in the 323rd Judicial District Court of Tarrant County, Texas, entitled Agreement to Enter into Stipulation of Guilt and Plea Bargain Agreement. This agreement to enter into a stipulation of guilt and plea bargain agreement, hereafter called the agreement, is entered into by and between Charleston Damon White, hereafter referred to as White, acting both individually and by and through his parent, Yolanda White, his mother, and his attorney of record, Carl Mallory, in the state of Texas, acting through the District Attorney's Office of Tarrant County, Texas. Okay, let's just continue for a second. Okay, so that's Charleston White, basically agreeing to go into the plea agreement.
That's Charleston White, where now it's 1993. Mm-hmm. Everybody's going to trial. Well, Antwonn Doolittle, but Charleston White had been kept at juvenile hall since 91. Everybody else had went in by the end of 1991. They had been sent as tried as adults. But the cold part, Charleston White and the police let him stay with the juveniles while he gathered evidence. All the time he had been knowing that he was going to tell on them. So when they went for the commission hearing to go to the county, Charleston White never went. So Charleston already had made a deal with the prosecutor to where in return for his testimony, he wouldn't be able to go to prison. So when you hear him talking about I killed a white man, they saved me from going to prison, that's not true. He told on those young men prior to them getting ready to go to trial.
Well, let's just continue on some reading. So this is a question and answer from Charleston White, and I believe the court. It says, did you go to Pebble Creek Apartments to see Antwonn Doolittle? Yes, ma'am. Do you see the person in the courtroom today that you know to be Antwonn Doolittle? Yes, ma'am. Would you point him out and an article of clothing he is wearing? This is Charleston. Black suit, white shirt, gray tie. Is that him on the end of the table? Yes, ma'am. Your Honor, may the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant. Charleston, what did you call Antwonn Doolittle? What was your name for him? Twan. Twan. Yes, ma'am. Okay, did you ever refer to him also as Antwonn every once in a while? Okay, did you ever know him to be called Little Twan? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Wow. Just wow. Wow. So, it's tough, man.
It really is, to where
This is tough.
we sit and hear people talking about, particularly blacks, and we're the only race where we sit and talk about each other, downgrade us, lie on each other, and then there's no recourse and slandering, and then we sit up here where a young kid, only 15 years old. That's not right, man. It's one thing when you don't did something and made mistakes, but you don't be 45 years old and still going to keep a young kid in who you had spent the night with that morning and then told on them the next day. And imagine, that mean them two guys and the other three, that mean they parents were real tight. They ain't nothing but 14, 15. They spending the night, and then two young parents got to sit in the court where one of them son on trial for his life, and the other friend, her friend, son is telling on him to take his life. That wasn't right. Then you get out, and then you go and don't come back and try to help the man. You don't call him. You don't send him nothing. But then you holler out, I get him killed, trying to sabotage. First they lied and said this wasn't true. I've never been caught a lying on no podcast. I don't even look at them. But we see so many times other people lying. And how do you verify this? Let's do a spot check, a fact check. I ain't seen nobody do nothing basically on the internet to help the community, other than talk about each other, verbal tongue lashing, lip boxing, and gymnastics. But where y'all doing to help the community? What are y'all doing? I umpired Little League Baseball all last summer. Now I'm coaching basketball. We got a movie that we doing with Ice-T, The World Epidemic, Sixless Gun Violence. We've been working on that where he executive producer. We got another show, Before We Blew, talking about the violence that's happening. So this is not nothing new. I do civil rights, some of the biggest murders in this nation for over 30 years. You can't see me on the internet, but Google me on the LA Times, the Washington Post.
So, Melvin, not to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
But we all know, Charleston has embraced the role of a community watchman, police, George Zimmerman type. He's embraced that role. So what's significant about this paperwork than him, saying that he'll tell on anybody else?
Well, first of all, who he don't told on? Y'all watching a mirage. This is going to be the worst scandal since Milli Vanilli that won an Oscar for lip syncing. Who he don't told on? I'll wait.
Well, he's called the police.
He's called the police, but that ain't ratting. There's a difference here.
Okay, let me ask you this, Melvin. Do you think that, or is it telling when Charleston calls parole officers or probation officers?
That's telling.
Okay.
That's snitching.
Okay.
That's what they do. Oh, he's selling dope. Oh, he's stealing my tape. That ain't the same thing as testifying to get a man's life taken. Okay. Now let's look at who all done did that and who ever been welcomed back. When Tookie got executed, a man told on him that I knew. Same thing. He ain't been back. John Gotti, he didn't get to go back to the mafia. Sonny Barger, he got killed in the print. So blacks are the only ones that will let a rat run his mouth. So I don't care about him telling, because we know people. I've been in this game with Michael Conception, Bedford Pookie. They had murders when we was 14, 15. I can gang a gang of them from 15 on up. But we didn't tell. Our motto was, if one of us can get out to let everybody go, that's fine. But let me show you how careless listener y'all. Y'all hear him say this, that, then, I raped this, I did that, then he holler out, Melvin's son did this. And then y'all will hold it against like I'm supposed to be for a grown man. When all I do is say, well, call Charleston White mama up here and sit her there. Call R. Kelly mama and sit her here. Call Mystical mama and sit him here. In other words, what I got to do with it? If you can't call them, nigga, don't judge me like you say. Judge me for what I do.
Man, Melvin, just real quick here, you know, from my perspective, all a parent can do is raise their children.
That's it.
Once they become adults, they make their own decisions and their own choices, and they got to live with those choices. If my son got to do time, knock on wood, I can't do that time for him. How do you feel when people coming at you about your son?
I don't look at social media, but don't nobody comment. They say it, but when you think about it, what I got to do with it? You got a man that's saying he raped somebody. What they got to do with me? Nothing. Am I correct?
You're right.
So how you gonna let a man say he raped and put him in, and then worry about me about what another man do? That's because y'all put titles on it. I don't care about him doing that rape where he did it, but he said it. My son did it, but he was on drugs. He'd never been to jail. But it was, y'all don't forget, it was 3 or 4 other people there. But I made my son ride the beef. Nigga, you gonna do this? You gonna ride that beef. And all of them gone on. So don't tell me about that. He got 450 years while I told him, you gonna do this time, nigga. You're not taking that girl with the baby that was in the car with you. What you gonna take her with you for when the baby on? That's why they didn't kill him. It was a girl in the car where they had been trailing him. It was more people than that. But my son was a basketball player. Everybody know who Melvin Farmer is. I was the #1 record runner in our family. But when Tayshaun Pinson, they broke his leg, he got hooked on drugs. No tattoos. The boy ain't never been in no trouble. But look up what meth will do to you. And I told him, I said, you know, you got my last name, young man. What you do reflects on me. I said, you messing with a drug. Well, I promise you. And he was robbing. I don't see him brought a Porsche. And I said, I promise you, within 90 days, you're going to wake up in jail. And you ain't going to even know you done fucked off your whole life behind drugs you don't think I know you losing. So he had his warning. He had his warning. But like I'm telling y'all about life, when I wrote the book about 3 Strikes You In, the new slave ship about prison coming in 1998, I predicted mass incarceration. And look what we got.
Mass incarceration.
But y'all didn't hear. Let me show you how they bite off of me. Y'all hear Charleston White say, oh, ain't no Crips successful. Bro, do it look like we playing? These are Crips that got this 20 square thousand foot from Penny Marshall and Mark Wahlberg, and we letting y'all in.
Amen.
Yeah, but that's what we do. We try to embrace you, educate you, and then go let you empower you, or open the doors to where other people's voices can be heard. The rappers, the actors, the entertainers, the softball players. We try to do things to where other people's voices can be heard. I don't even like doing interviews. I really don't. I really, really don't. I'm more of a civil rights activist. I've done some of the most highest profile murders with Ted Williams. That's who do the George Floyd and all these high profiles. I did Prince Jones. That's the young kid that's from Howard University student got killed in Four Corner, Parnassus. I did Margaret Laverne Mitchell. That's the lady that got killed over a shopping cart that Leo Terrell and Larry Elder did. I did the murder of the Harlem Globetrotters that y'all didn't know. They got shot the same day. Chief Park's granddaughter got killed in gang violence. I did Taisha Miller, 19 times shot. I did the Death Row 10 in Chicago that make it a moratorium. It's a gang of cases I done. The homeless, the girl that got killed at the hotel in Vegas, Sharice Iverson, where Jeremy Strohmeyer killed her. Y'all resumes aren't matching up with what y'all saying. And that's just that.
Hey, real tone, it's some real money in the room.